Hello and welcome to the WriteCome.com podcast, where we help you to make money from your words. Each episode will be sharing tips, tricks, and strategies you can use to make more money from your writing, publishing, and marketing to your fans and audience. Let's get started with your host, Barry J. McDonald.
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very welcome to today's podcast episode from WriteCome.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled, How's Your Year Going? Now, this morning I was just thinking to myself as I was walking my dog Summer, we are just on the verge of heading into the 1st of March. So we are just coming into the first quarter of the year. And I want you maybe just to think about what you have done so far between, January 1st until today. And I want you to think about if you multiplied what you have done so far by 6, if we just do it nicely to a nice average. I want you to think about the actions that you are going to take through the year. Will the actions you have done in January and February, if you multiply them by 6, would you be any closer to where you were looking to go? And if you're not, maybe this might be just a gentle reminder to maybe just get back in the saddle again, take a look at what, actions you have taken or what lack of action you have taken, and maybe it's time just to knuckle down again and see if you can get back on track, see if you can get back into your writing, your podcasting, your recording, your videos, or whatever content you are creating, and see if you can correct whatever course you are on right now. Because unfortunately, if you don't kind of correct your course right now, you're probably going to continue along doing the same actions, the same habits, and you are probably going to end up back exactly where you ended last year. And I don't want you to do that. I want you to end up in a different position than you are right now. So what I want you to do, and for me to do as well too, is just kind of, have a look back on January and February. Did you do what you needed to do? Maybe you did, start off well. Maybe you threw yourself into fiction writing. Maybe you threw yourself into blogging, or maybe you threw yourself into podcasting. And now, unfortunately, you have maybe got sick of it. Maybe those habits haven't stuck, and maybe you just have gone back to your original path. So if you find maybe that you have gone that way, maybe, rather than just throwing yourself back into it again, see is there any way you can gradually add a good habit every day to get you back on path. One of the things I have been experiencing recently is probably a more positive attitude every day, and that's because of my morning routine. Now, usually when I would start my day, I would get up, I would have a cup of coffee, and then I would take my dog Summer out for a walk, and I'd probably walk for about an hour or so, but in that hour I would be listening to positive material. So I would listen to podcasts by Randy Gage and Gary Vee, and material that I think I need to listen to. And then by the end of that hour, I would usually come up with an idea maybe for a podcast episode, and then I would record that all going well. So I found that morning routine has really helped me out in that I don't really know what's going on in the world. I've stayed away from the news. I stay away from all the doom and gloom at COVID and all this and that. The economy's going to crash and this is going awful, and there's a bombing going on over here. The stuff that I don't really need to know about. And I found that as I've stayed away from the news, and as I have put a lot of positive material in my head first thing in the morning, you can't help but be positive. You can't help be feeling good about yourself when you're listening to other people who are taking action and who have a positive outlook on life. It's very easy to take on that and kind of get swept along in their positivity, and then you will find it go into your own business. So maybe if you are finding that you aren't as positive about yourself, or maybe you're just not, you're in a bit of a mental funk, maybe it might be time to have a look at your morning routine. What's the first thing you do every day? Do you go on social media? Do you go into your email inbox? Do you hang around maybe with people who aren't uplifting you? Maybe you just go into a Facebook group first thing in the morning and you get dragged down in everybody's drama and everybody's doom and gloom and everything is wrong with fiction writing and this person's ripping me off, and maybe it's time to just forget about those things and just put them away for the first hour or so, or stay away from them altogether, but start putting some positive material into your head. Try building some positive, morning routine where you listen to something positive, whether that's an audiobook, whether that's some podcast or whatever, and just get up a little bit earlier and go for a walk, get some fresh air into you, clear your head, and kind of start yourself off in a good positive way. And you will find when you do return home, you will be excited to do your writing, or you will be excited to exercise, or whatever it is you need to do, but you're going to be a lot more positive than you have been before. So if you are finding maybe that you just have drifted back into your own bad habits, again, as I said, don't try and do everything, straight away. Take on a gradual habit every week. change something that's a little bit different every day. So you are heading, veering your little ship, whether it's even 1 degree, but you're turning the steering wheel in a proper direction. So you're heading to where you want to go rather than where you would normally end up. And you will find over the years those little actions will add up, and you will end up in a completely different position than you have ended last year. So, as I said, I am recording this podcast episode not just as a reminder to you, but also to me to keep going and to look back on the actions I've done in January and February. If I keep doing what I am doing, am I going to make any changes in my business, in my life, and am I going to end up somewhere better than I ended last year? Now, some of the things I am doing at the moment, if you are interested. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast episodes recently, you probably have heard me go on Twitter, and you probably have heard me, talk about how to try and build a little bit of a following, or how to help out there, and also how to find or how to see what's actually going on in the marketplace. If you are maybe someone who is trying to help a particular audience, whether that's people who are trying to lose weight, whether that's people who are your writers, or whether that's people who are on podcasting or whatever, if you simply just do a search for a hashtag that is relevant to that, and just keep an eye on the Twitter feed every day, you will find that some things will come up over and over again. And I found, as I've been following the hashtag writing community and writer as well, I am finding more and more about my audience that I didn't really realize before, that some people have a lot of self-doubts about themselves, but I did know things like that. But I find that a lot of people are kind of looking around and seeing what everybody else is doing and thinking that they need to be doing the exact thing as everybody else. They need to be writing the exact same amount of words per day, or they need to have a certain amount of chapters in their book. But everybody is kind of looking over, left and right, and looking to see what everybody else is doing and thinking that their business should be the same too. And you will find when you do get into Twitter and you do follow a particular hashtag or a particular community, you will find that you will see exactly what that community, what their fears, what their worries about, what their problems are. So if you are looking to create products, you might find maybe a particular question is coming up again and again and again. And as well too, I have been doing a lot of answering questions over on Quora. I would normally answer 5 questions a day. That probably doesn't seem much, but it's a small thing that I can do every day, and it will add up over the year. I will probably build a little bit of an audience, or build some kind of platform for myself over there. But answering those 5 questions every day, again, when I go through the newsfeed or the questions that's asked on Quora, I can also see what types of problems people are having. People in the writing community, what problems do they have writing fiction, what problems do they have writing blog posts, and things maybe that I haven't thought of before. So again too, if you maybe trying to keep on the pulse of your audience, if you're looking to see what problems they have, or if you're looking for content ideas maybe for a blog post today, head over to Quora and have a look at some of the questions over there, and then take that question back to your own platform and then answer it over there, because there probably is a good chance somebody out there who is never going to find that answer in Quora may come upon your blog post at some time and may read through that content. So that could be another idea for content creation for your blog or whatever, or your podcast, is to take some questions from either Twitter or Quora, take it over to your own platform and answer those questions. But as I said, I have been doing that this past couple of days. I have noticed that my Twitter growth has, it hasn't exploded, but it has grown a lot from what it was before. Now, as I said a couple of episodes back, I was hovering around the 20 followers on Twitter. Now, the reason that I probably was hovering around that for the long time was because I had automated everything to Twitter. What I was doing was I was directing all my blog posts over to Twitter, but I wasn't interacting with anybody over there. I was just sending that tweet out every so often: read this blog post, read this blog post, read this blog post. And when you are doing something like that, do you really expect, your Twitter following is going to grow? Because you're all you have that mindset of, look at me, do things for me, do things for me, do things for me, read this blog post for me, and it's all me, and it's not reaching out to the community. And I found that when I did, as I said a few episodes back, when I actually did get into Twitter and started, helping out, answering questions and giving people, a little bit of an encouragement, I actually found that my Twitter following actually grew. Now, if you are maybe haven't followed me on Twitter, my numbers have increased. I've jumped from 20, I've jumped up to 60 followers. And basically all I have done in that time is basically just answered questions, helped out, gave people some moral support or whatever, but just done simple things like that. I haven't promoted myself. I haven't forced people to read any of my blog posts. I haven't forced people to buy my products or anything like that. I am just simply helping out over there. And I found as I've helped out over there, my numbers have grown. So that may be another thing you could keep in mind too. to if you are trying to build a following this year. Just if you do go into whatever particular platform it is, don't get too bogged down into, staying on it and thinking that you need to stay on all day. Just dip into it every so often. And if somebody maybe has a problem, answer the question or give them a little bit of moral support or whatever. But you will find that your numbers will start creeping up because you will be seen as someone who is a helper, someone worth following, rather than somebody who is selfishly promoting and automating all their business and driving it through these platforms, because you're never going to build a following that way. So that could be something you might think about taking on this year, would be maybe just to interact in those platforms and, as I said, be someone who helps out rather than somebody who is selfishly looking out for their own means, and you will find your numbers will automatically increase because people will see you that way. So that could be something you could try out, and that's something that I'm doing at the moment. And another thing I am doing at the moment is I have signed up to Skillshare. Now, I used to be in Skillshare a couple of years back, but recently I decided to get back into it because I've got a new camera phone and I just wanted to see what the courses were like on both taking photographs with your Android phone but also recording videos and things like that, because with social media the way it is, and with us having a smartphone in our pocket, it's very easy for us to take a couple of really great pictures, put them on Pinterest or put them on Instagram and grab a little bit of attention from ourselves. And I found that as I have studied some of these courses, I've got better at taking my pictures. I have a greater knowledge of recording video with my iPhone and how to edit, my Android phone, and how to edit on my phone and all those different things. And I know those skills are going to pay off in the months and years and ahead as well too. So maybe if you are looking to take on a couple of new habits as well too, why not take on a habit of learning something new? Maybe something that you have been putting off, maybe something that you might complement your business, whether that is photography, again with your smartphone or with one of those kind of DSLR cameras or whatever, or maybe learning how to record videos properly, how to edit them and how to make them look professional on YouTube, or how to build a following on YouTube, or how to build a following on Instagram. And maybe that could be something you could maybe consider doing for the rest of the year, is actually learning some skills, expanding your knowledge base so that by the end of this year you will be in a completely different position than you are right now because of the added knowledge you have. Now, if you are collecting knowledge, don't be somebody who is just going through course after course after course and not putting anything into action. That's one of the reasons I am spending a lot of time on the courses that I'm doing at the moment on photography with smartphones and recording videos and stuff like that, because that's something I am working on at the moment. I am taking photographs every day, so I'm actually putting that into action. So don't start studying things that you are never ever going to do. Have a look and see what part of your business you are weak in and see if there is a course on Skillshare or Udemy or whatever. Now, the reason I have gone with Skillshare is because it's just a one-off payment every month and you can devour as many courses as you want, compared to maybe Udemy or those platforms that you have to pay for each course. But again too, if you find maybe a good course over on one of those platforms, certainly buy it or whatever. But that's what I am doing at the moment. I am trying to expand my knowledge. I am trying to be a lot stronger in my business by the end of the year, from whatever I am picking up right now. So what I want you to do today is think about how your year is going. If you multiplied whatever you've done in January, if you had multiplied it by 6, would you be in a different place than when you are right now, or would you end up back right where you were last year? And maybe if your habits have fallen by the wayside, those good habits, maybe it's time to rethink them. Maybe it's time to have a look at seeing, is there any way you could add anything to your daily routines, like adding things to your morning routines, any things you could add to building your platforms, reaching out to people, rather than automating everything, and see if there are any way you could make a difference that way. So I hope I've helped somebody out, or maybe I've given you a little bit of a reminder, but I probably have done this podcast episode more for me than for you. Just to remind myself, if I keep doing what I am doing, I am how will my year end? And this is a kind of a look back on January and February, just to remind myself to keep going, because this is a little bit of a reminder for myself. So as always, if you'd like to reach out to me, you can certainly send an email to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. And if you like the podcast, if you want to go back to the archives, there's probably about 330 episodes, I think, if you go backwards from here. And you'll probably find a lot of great content back there that you can put into use and make a difference in your business. Or if you'd like to reach out to the Rightcom site, if you'd like to pick up some of our great free reports over there, if you want to do a search for Rightcom, that's WRITECOME.com. You'll find 9 great free reports on the homepage. So as always, thanks for sharing your time again today. Take care and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the RightCome.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.